Welcome to Why Am I Yelling Live. I'm Krista. I'm your host. I'm also wife, mom, parenting and relationship coach, and I'm the creator of the Why Am I Yelling brand. I blog, I write, I do all kinds of other stuff too. I help parents navigate the exciting path of raising children by addressing the fear, embracing the milestones, and encouraging a creative and positive family dynamic. And I'm so excited about our guest today because I feel like, especially in the last few days, we have needed this wellness. And so Suzanne Taylor, I'm so excited to have you here. I can't wait to talk to you. Suzanne is a wife and a mom, and she is a holistic health practitioner. She's an aromatherapist, which I cannot wait to hear about. And she is a positive psychology coach. And the name of her business is called Tailored Wellness. And she is here to talk to us about her journey to where she has gotten in her business, but also her journey to where she has gotten to parenting. And that is a lovely, beautiful, wonderful story. And so we're going to be crying by the end of it, I can already tell. So thank you for being here. I'm so happy to have you. And please tell us more.
Oh gosh, where do I start? So I'm happy to say that I'm balancing this, being a mom and a business owner this week is especially challenging because my son is home from school and he's actually sitting right over here, promising to be ever so silent. So this is kind of the story of our lives, you know, as working moms, and especially when, you know, I'm balancing working from home. I do have an office that I go to, but, you know, it's really a constant daily battle to stay balanced and focused and all that. So even with all of my tools, the positive psychology, I have aromatherapy going behind us with some peace and calming scents in it for me that help with focus and concentration, which is really awesome. But, you know, it's a challenge for us to be three different people, really. Yes, and I help clients balance all of that with trying to be healthy, with trying to be mindful about what you're eating and your exercise time and your self-care time and all of those things that we're trying to mentally fit in, and you can't wrap your head around how am I going to create 8 more hours today to get all this done. So that's right where I'm at today. And the struggle is real because I still have to do it too.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And, you know, I say it all the time. It's like like you have your schedule for the day and that's never what happens ever. Yeah. It's like, okay, so this has to move and this has to change and I have to pick up a kid early or I have a kid home sick or whatever it is that you have. And the ability to be able to do that is a blessing. Absolutely. And I'm so thankful to be able to do that. But it really, you have to be able to juggle and you have to be really good at it.
Yes.
So tell us how you became, well, what do you want to talk about first? We can talk about your journey to motherhood, or we can talk about your journey to wellness, because I feel they're all interconnected, right?
It is. It's very interconnected. So my journey started, I was a dental hygienist for 25 years. Worked for one dentist for 15 years and really established great connections with all of the patients. And I love the coaching aspect of it, the motivating aspect of it, the encouraging them to do better with their health and their flossing and, you know, without being a nag. I didn't want to be. So, sometime around the age of 35, my mom was not doing well. She was on 14 different medications from 3 different doctors. And I wasn't really aware of the extent of it until she passed away. That's when I opened the medicine cabinet and I was like,
oh my God.
So my dad and I had this very long conversation, like, were you aware of this? Were you aware of the drug interactions? Were you aware of what was going on in her body? And of course the answer is no. You know, that generation trusted doctors and trusted, you know, didn't go by intuition, didn't say, oh, this drug is making me feel bad. You know, maybe I should question being on it. So that really spurred, she was only 67 when she passed. And I was just contemplating motherhood at that time. I was just getting married. So for me, this whole journey was out in front of me and I didn't want to end up going down the road that she was on. So I really started educating for myself But then, you know, how could I keep that information to myself once I learned it and mastered it? And
yeah.
so I was teaching exercise classes as a hobby at a local gym. Why not get paid to exercise?
Yeah.
So all the ladies at the gym were coming to me and wanting nutrition advice, meal plan advice, how to get my kids to eat healthy. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that spurred some nutrition training, coaching training, holistic life coaching. And now, you know, 15 years later, here I am with a whole lot of different certifications, and I'm kind of fusing them together in a big wellness practice with a chiropractor and a naturopath. And
fun.
It's awesome. Scary.
That's great.
But awesome.
Yep. That's fantastic.
Yes.
And so you've been doing this for 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when did you start your parenting journey?
Oh my gosh. Well,
it was a long one.
I got married at 38 and we started trying, I think, even before the wedding. You know, it was just one of those things where it's like, well, you know, whatever. And I really wasn't prepared for the difficulty because I was aware of all my friends' journeys. You know, and it just seemed, oops, look what happened.
Easy.
So I was kind of expecting surprise. And that never happened. That didn't, I mean, for 3 years, we were with the fertility doctor. We did simple things at first, and then we did 5 rounds of IVF with breaks in between. Then I had an overabundance of embryos left over. So we did like 5 frozen transfers. And sometime after I turned 40, I was, it's not healthy for my marriage. It's not healthy for my body. I was not feeling mentally strong at the time because of the ups and downs of the whole pregnancy. Of course, it's thing, you know, it's
hormones and
I mean, there was many times my husband and I would not be getting along simply because of you know,
absolutely
the hormonal journey. And so I think it was sometime around the 41, I said, look, I think I'm done. I think I'm really done. And I'm ready to fill out the adoption paperwork and see what happens. And, you know, everything in your logical mind tells you that it's going to be years and years and years and years and years. And we decided,
and all the stuff.
And we just decided to go with our hearts. And, you know, I had already started practicing my business with heart-centered sharing, and aromatherapy teaches you heart-centered sharing. So it was just a natural progression to really go into adoption with my heart open and kind and loving and just have that open to receive kind of attitude. And we filled out all the paperwork, and there was an interview process. There was counseling visits we had to go to, parenting classes we had to go to. And I thought, my God, everybody should have to do this.
They should.
Yes,
I agree.
Absolutely. And we got a phone call sometime. We got on the list in January or February of 2009. And by March, we were getting a phone call that someone had.
Wow.
Yes. And all because I listened to my intuition, and really with our social worker, you have to do a profile of yourselves as a couple. So this profile goes in a book, and I looked at everybody else's. You know, there's 80 people waiting in the Caucasian program, 80 couples just in this local area. So I looked at all the profiles, and they wanted us to make one that looked like everybody else's, like a frilly, girly scrapbook page. And that so wasn't me. My husband's an engineer. I'm very modern. And I said, I want a modern page. I want clean lines. I don't want stickers on it. I don't want flowers. And the social worker said, don't put a picture of your big black Great Dane on the front, because that's intimidating. That's scary or whatever. And I said, no, that's who I am.
Right.
I'm a great day mom. And whoever chooses us is going to love the fact that that's
that
what
we
love.
Have. Right.
And that's exactly why we got chosen so quickly, was because of the profile, the colors, and the big black dog on the front.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was really a little pat on the back for me listening to my, like, yes, I was right. Listen to that. Listen to that intuition. So we got a phone call on a Friday that our son was going to be born that weekend.
And like, I'm gonna, because I know people who have adopted, and their stories are similar to yours. They did it locally, and it happened very quickly. And I know people who adopted, it took them years in China and in Ethiopia, and their stories are so different. But when you get the phone call, like, what happened? Like, what happens? I would imagine it's like when my water broke. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Yes.
What now? What?
So I was at a work function at my boss's house, prepared not to have a glass of wine because I was leaving from there to go to the gym to meet with my trainer at the time. Right. I was training for a figure competition. I was eating perfectly. You know, there was no messing around with margaritas.
That too. Yeah.
And the phone rang. I left the room. I came back to the room crying. And everybody's like, what's the matter? What's the matter? And I said, well, I'm going to be a mom this weekend. And,
amazing.
You know, the celebration started.
Right.
And met my husband at home. We went out to dinner to talk about it. And then we proceeded to go to Babies R Us and spend about $5,000.
Right. And buy every single thing.
Every single thing we didn't need.
I need delivered tomorrow.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And we made our way about an hour away to the hospital on Monday when she went into labor. And the hospital was just amazing. Gave us a room down the other end of the hallway. We were with her the whole time she was in labor, getting to know her, questions.
Right. So you had no interaction with her prior to this?
Just a phone conversation.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it was amazing. I was the first one to hold him. He was in the room with us. Yeah. And I remember posting on Facebook. This was before I had an online business.
Right.
So it was just personal stuff on Facebook. Yep. And I posted a picture of me in the hospital bed wearing a pair of short shorts and a tank top, that was tight.
Right.
And I'm holding this little baby. Yep. And the reactions from people I went to high school with that were already grandparents.
Right. Yeah. I've got that too. Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how did you do this? How did you do this so quickly? How are you up and dressed and walking around? All the questions.
Right.
And I said, I have a choice here to always talk about it and always be open and hopefully, make people more comfortable with the idea. My son is listening to me right now. He's aware of this whole story and he's free to ask questions, right? You don't remember? Okay. Okay.
They're the best at this age.
And, I really wanted to be that mom who was comfortable talking about it and making other moms. Since he was born in June, I was out walking with the stroller. I was running with the jog stroller with a 3-week-old.
With a baby. Yeah.
Yes. And the stares and the questions and, oh my gosh, how's your stomach so flat? You have this little baby. I mean, it was constant. It was this constant explaining I was doing, which is really a shame that as women, we have to explain why we're in good shape, even if we just had a baby.
Yep.
And I remember deciding to handle it with humor. That's one of my number one character strengths.
That's fantastic.
And I said, well, I'm going to answer with, I eat right. I exercise all the time. I do a ton of core stabilization work.
Yep.
And oh, the baby's adopted.
Right. Amazing. High
Yeah.
five. Like,
Yeah, thank you.
stop.
It was awesome. And that journey to be open with adoption and be open with the birth mom, be secure in that very stressful situation, became my journey to positive psychology. Because I got so many questions on how did you handle, you know, being comfortable with the possibility, you know, of it not happening.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Right. That happens. Sure.
Yeah, it does happen. And I thought, well, this is my chance to be resilient here. This is, I didn't have a word for it back then, but this is my chance to say, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And if it's not, there'll be another situation that is.
Right.
And it was totally meant to be. He looks exactly like me. He's got my personality. And
that always happens. It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. This makes me so happy.
Thank you.
And so now, I know that you said that it was your journey to, you know, positive psychology and that kind of stuff. So explain to me positive psychology. I want to talk about heart-centered sharing because I love those words.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with heart-centered sharing because that's really what started the positive psychology journey. Okay. I'm with a company called Young Living Essential Oils.
Okay.
But I have been an aromatherapist for 20 years. I didn't find Young Living until about 5 or 6 years ago when I was looking for a company to buy oils wholesale from that were organic, non-GMO, and 100% pure. So I didn't sign up to be a, you know, network marketer, but that's the company that I identified with. So here I am.
Okay.
So their philosophy with heart-centered sharing is that you don't share to sell, you share to educate. And I just so identified with that because that's my whole entire business is built on sharing health information, sharing wellness information, empowerment information.
Yeah.
And not asking for a monetary return for that. So I share. And then because I share, people want to work with me and get accountability, get an action plan or whatever it may be. So they have a whole book all about heart-centered sharing. And it really talked a lot about the growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And I was like, oh, I totally have that, but I didn't have a word for it.
Right.
And I started diving into a couple books. And then this man dropped into my lap. And that sounds wrong, but this man, this man dropped into my world.
Okay.
And I connected with him. And he's a positive psychology instructor here in Philadelphia, right over the bridge from me. And we did a couple workshops together. And I heard him speaking on the power of positive psychology. And he said the word resilient, to be able to bounce back better after a tragedy.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, oh my God, that's me.
Yep.
So I've had all these tragedies and we could go, I make a joke of that as well. So I have a list of my tragedies whenever I speak in public. And they're separated by commas on a slide.
Yep.
And it's marriage, divorce, moving, married again, divorced, moving, mother dies, father dies, remarriage, infertility. Like the list is ridiculous.
Yep.
And I thought, well, how am I still a smiling, happy person?
Through all of it.
Through all of it. And it's because I learned something from every mistake. I don't live in the past. And I'm able to take the horrible situation of life-changing trauma and learn something from it. And so that just started my education in positive psychology with this guy as a teacher.
Right.
So I took my studies at the Flourishing Center in Philadelphia, and I can't highly recommend it enough. If you're not into getting your master's in positive psychology, this is the way to go. It's a certificate in applied positive psychology.
Right.
And they come at it from a heart-centered sharing place. They give you, once you graduate, all of the slides, all of the materials for you to pass on the knowledge to other people.
Right.
Which I just think is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about sharing and
yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing now. I'm teaching a 10 workshop series on flourishing skills. And it's how to bounce back better, how to be resilient, how to use your character strengths in your everyday life. And if you haven't taken that test, I highly recommend you can do it for free online, the VIA character assessment. That's
the letter one?
It's VIA character assessment.
Right, but when you get the assessment back, what do you like? Is it like
you get 25 top character strengths?
Okay.
So your top 3 are the ones you want to concentrate on.
Right. I've taken the one, I don't remember what it's called.
That gives you A, B, C, or D personality type.
I'm an ENFJ. That's all I know.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is so my top 3 are humor, bravery, and loyalty.
Those are all excellent top 3 qualifications.
Yeah. So now that I know that, I use humor in everything I do.
Right.
Because I'm good at it, and it comes totally natural.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I love this. I love all of it. I was on your website the other day. I was like, oh, click. Oh, click. Oh, what? Oh, click. I mean, I think, like I said before, like, especially now, like, I feel like even just in the last 2 days, there's a lot of, we need to have a lot of heart-centered sharing happening.
Yes.
And, I actually just had a conversation with one of my best friends, and, it was fine, and it was a little bit of a debate, and it was okay in the end because we're friends and that's the end of it and whatever. But I think a lot of people are missing the take a step back, find the light,
yes,
and let's move through it.
Yes.
And I know as coaches, the part of my coach training was there was a mindset piece, and there's how to practice that and how to teach it to your people and work with your clients and the people in your life to be able to, like you say, be resilient and overcome things and work through things instead of, resisting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So there's a lot of resistance happening right now. And that's understandable. I understand, but maybe it will make a difference in how people handle things and how we say, well, we're using such an outdated system to run our country.
Right.
That maybe it's a nice call to action.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a very diplomatic answer.
I try to be politically correct.
That was a very heart-centered sharing answer.
Yes. Yes. And I have a lot of friends who are kind of hysterical over.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
And I think at this time in our country, I'm 3 weeks away from turning 50.
Oh my God, what?
I have a different mindset.
When's your birthday?
December 5th.
Okay. I'm November 25th. We're Sagittarius.
Oh, happy birthday. Yes, that's why we get along. I think it's a different mindset that you have as I know myself better now. Would I like to have the body I had at 24? Sure. But I wouldn't take that brain back for anything. Not for 1 second. No.
Nope.
No. So I really think, as an older mom.
Yep.
So my son is 7. And most of the moms are 10, 15 years younger than me. And it's interesting to see where they're at on their journeys.
Yep.
And it's almost like I'm this, I don't mean it in a snobby way, but it's almost like, well, how are you not negative? How are you okay with the fact that you had a neck injury and you gained 10 pounds and your clothes don't fit? Why aren't you complaining like a crazy woman? No, I just wear exercise clothes until my jeans fit again, and it won't be long. Like I don't, that doesn't change who I am as a person.
Right.
You know, my butt's a little bit bigger, but who cares? I mean, I care, but you know, it doesn't affect my,
you work through it.
Yeah, it doesn't affect my self-esteem. It doesn't affect my self-confidence. I can still get up in front of a room of 500 people and tell a funny story.
Sure.
And not care that there's 10 extra pounds on me. And that's what I really want to preach to women.
Right.
You know, we're all beautiful no matter what size we are.
Yep.
It's here and here.
Yep.
That matters.
Yep.
And
that's a very important message. And it's, you know, it's clearly something that we are, like you say, I'm going to be 44. I'm right there with you. You know what I mean? Like, we are in the same generation.
Yeah.
And I see women, you know, of our age. I feel like we have figured it out. At this age, we're all like, let's empower each other. Let's help each other along. You know what? It's better for our kids if they see us working together and being successful business owners and good friends and building solid relationships with each other, not just with our families and our children, but with other like-minded women, or not even, but people that we get it. We're comfortable with who we are. We're comfortable with how we look. We're comfortable with the message that we want to speak and get out into the world.
Yes.
And I feel like the younger generation, they're not ready. Like they're not ready. They just don't know how to get it younger.
Well, it's
they don't
about
know how to embrace themselves and be okay with it. We're all so worried about what everybody else thinks. And I got to tell you, everybody, pay attention. Nobody else cares. In real life, nobody cares how you look. They care about the kind of person that you are. They care about your centered heart and your mind and the way you think and the way you act and the way you teach your children and interact with other people. I don't care what color, what race, how skinny, how fat, how beautiful, you know what I mean? Like, and I remember having this conversation. I have almost an 11-year-old. I have two boys also. They're 11 and 4. So there's a big age difference.
Yeah.
And that was by design. So that's the question I get. It's like, oh, what? Why would you ever wait 6 years to have another child? And it's like, or I get, oh, same father? Yep, all the same. We're all the same. Yeah, I get that. I've gotten that a few times. And you know, my answer always is, well, that was by design because I didn't want diapers for 4 years straight. And I wasn't convinced that I was having another one after the number one. Like I wasn't on the let's have another baby bandwagon immediately. And that's fine for me. It might not be fine for you over here and you over there. And so you get it even when, you know, they're your own, and it's not everybody's journey is the same. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I think older generation, especially, they think it needs to happen. You get married at 25, pregnant when you're 30, have your babies, and everything's fine. Like,
hence the reason I got married at 22.
Right.
When my parents retired, I had just graduated from college. I had never lived on my own before. So my parents were retiring, moving to Florida, and I had just graduated from college all in 3 months.
Right.
And I had this boyfriend who I had all through high school and college, who was my best and dearest friends, and we're still friends, if that says anything.
Of course.
And my parents gave me a choice, like it was a choice.
Right.
was you either come with us to Florida or you get married. And I didn't want to do either.
Either one, right.
So I had this ring on my finger, and all my friends were getting engaged and getting married, and I think I was in 7 weddings that year.
Yeah, of course. That was
ridiculous.
The age. Yep.
And I thought, well, I can either, it never crossed my mind
that there was another option.
That there was a third option. Mm-hmm. And that's to do this my way.
Right. In
my own apartment, live in the city.
Right.
Whatever.
What about what I want? Right.
No, there was none of that. It was kind of, that immature brain, and that I need to do what everybody else in society is doing.
Right.
And we were married 8 months, and we said, we're like brother and sister. This is not
right.
So what it's supposed to be. And he's very happy now. And so am I.
You. Yeah. Right.
So it was really, it broke my parents' heart because they loved him like a son. But I had to do what was right.
Right. You're not living their life. You're living your life.
Exactly. And
I say that to my kids from the minute they're born.
Yes. You have to be who you are.
You're living your life. I'm not living your life. I can guide you, especially now you're a child. You have, I can tell you, don't touch that, and you have no idea. And I will be right. But, we just went through the middle school process in New York City, it's not like anything else in the world. And so you have to apply, even if you live next door to the middle school. And
really? Why is that?
Because you're in middle school and high school, your child can go to any school in the entire city in all 5 boroughs. And so there's an application process. It's not like, oh, you live in District 14, you're going to go to this school that's down the street from your house. It's you still have to apply, even if you want to go down to that school. So it's not a long process, but it's an exhausting process because you're like, now what? Like, I just went to the school that I was supposed to go to when I was a kid. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So we just went through that, and it is very eye-opening for me because I have friends who are going through it now a year later. And my advice was go on all the school tours because you need to see what it's about.
Yeah.
They're all very different, and some of them are, bigger, and some of them are smaller, and what is your child interested in, and some of them are specialized, and it's a very different animal here. And so we saw 6 schools, and on the application, the New York City application, you can put up to 10 schools. You have to rank them. And so, of course, you put your first choice first. You never put it second because there are, like, my son goes to a school, there's almost 1,500 kids for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And there are 135 seats, but there are 1,000 applicants. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's like when you look at the statistics, you're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So you have to go in it with an open mind and really just be like, okay. And the school that you think you're going to love turns out in our case was not even remotely the school that we thought that we loved. And he went on every single tour with us, and we walked out of the school that he's at now, and he looked at us and he was like, that is my school. And I said to him, I was like, and we both felt it too, but it's your decision. And I said, we sat down that night and it was at the last school tour we did, and we wrote it all out. And I said, I want a pro list and a con list from every school because we have to rank them. Like you're not assured to get into the top one. So we need 3. You'll get into one of the 3, but we need 3. And we need to figure out what we like the best out of what you like the best. I can tell you what I liked, but you have to tell me what's important for you. And so that was like, that was probably the biggest decision he's had to make so far in his 10 years on the planet. But giving them that power from such an early age, I think just enhances their ability to decision make when they get older. I mean, I'm talking preaching to the choir right here. I'm sure you're like, you think the same things, but
I'm guilty of, not doing that quite often. Once in a while, forcing a decision and you get met with resistance. And then I say, oh, that's right. I need to put the control back in his hands. And you don't want to give too many choices, but
no.
Do you?
I see him.
Yeah. They see you, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
And I see that with a lot of adults. They can't make decisions because they were never taught to make them.
Right.
They weren't empowered when they were a child, or even going away to college. My college was my choice. I thought looking back. Yeah. But I would say my parents definitely made the one I picked more attractive because that's where they wanted me to go.
I will completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's, yes.
You guide. And truly, it was a great decision for me. So that's kind of what I want to be as a parent. I want to, yes, you can have candy before dinner. Believe me, I've never had a cavity and I let my kid have candy whenever he wants. But you can't tell me you're not hungry for dinner, for our healthy stuff. So he knows. Right. He's
a daily conversation in my house with my 4-year-old. It's like, you're not going to have a lollipop if you're not going to eat your broccoli. So you decide.
Yes.
And if you sit here and I let you have the lollipop and then you don't eat your broccoli, there's no more candy until we work this whole thing out. It's always a negotiation.
Yes.
Always with that one. I love this. I love that. I love the whole idea. And now, we're going over time because I only usually do a half hour, but I want to really quickly talk about the aromatherapy because I feel like not a lot of people know about it. I mean, people do know about it, but it's a new thing. Like everyone's doing the essential oils and burning them and doing all that stuff. And so what would be your recommendation for, we're going to close with this, today's environment, like for the next, let's say, week or two, what kind of aromatherapy would you recommend for people to use?
Well, right now we're in a time of change between now and January. And I have numerous clients who are in the holistic field or people call it the woo-woo field. Yeah. So right now I'm working with 3 people who are tarot card reader, a past life regressionist, and a Reiki master. And they want to accentuate their spiritual gifts by feeding their body nutritious, enhancing diets, we'll call it. Okay. So by eating macrobiotically, by eating what your body needs, your intuition, your concentration, and your spiritual gifts are enhanced 100%. So because your brain's getting the adequate chemicals and nutrients, you are able to tap into those spiritual sides of yourself so much easier. So that's what these couple people have come to me to do because they know I know how to eat macrobiotically.
Right.
And they want to get their nutrients from food. And how do I get those nutrients? And then I do some essential oil work with them to enhance concentration, focus, and meditation, spiritual ability. And there's a lot of oils that do that. And then we combine them all together. So I have a couple little custom blends I make for meditation, which include a lot of the spiritual oils. So that's what I would encourage right now, really getting spiritual on it. Okay. And leaving things up to the universe. Of course, you want to be proactive in your community. If you want change and you want things to be different, then yes, get active. But really, this is about turning inward a bit during times of change.
Yep.
and saying, well, what does this really mean for me and my family and my personal economy? And mapping out what you're going to do about it. You know, what can you do about it?
I'm typing this in
So
comments.
turn to my spiritual oils. Oh, sure. So spiritual oils, frankincense, myrrh, lavender for relaxation, and any of the woodsy oils help with focus and concentration. Sandalwood, cedarwood, rosewood. Rose oil and frankincense have the highest vibrational frequency out of any of the essential oils. So they actually penetrate the blood-brain barrier. So when you smell rose oil, your brain remembers the last time you smelled that. It could be your grandmother's perfume. It could be smelling roses outside, but it's imprinted in your brain the last time you smelled rose oil. So if you take rose oil and you meditate with that on your happy place, like the beach or a relaxation time, or you put rose oil on yourself and go outside and ground yourself in nature and appreciating beauty, you are then transported every time you smell that oil to that relaxation time.
I gotta get some of that.
So it's a way to, it's a way to de-stress. And I just did it. I had an essential oils class last night. So I had 10 women and I put a series of oils in their hands. We started with one, and then we added frankincense, and then we started with stress away. We added frankincense, and then we added lavender. And by the end, those 3 scents, I had them imprint on their brain, doing a little energy medicine thing, closing off the other senses, sight and sound, and just tapping into the smell, and had them focus on their happy place, whether it's the beach or the ocean or whatever it is. And now when they experience those scents, whether it's today or next week, that scent is imprinted in a spot in your brain, and you can immediately go back to that calming feeling that I gave you last night. So that's, in essence, what aromatherapy is. Now, I combine it at my office. I combine it for physical problems or diseases or inflammation. I also combine it with reflexology and, you know, placing the oils on that spot on your feet. According to Chinese medicine energy meridians, it's going to help. So if you have sinus problems, not only are you going to smell the oil for that, but you're going to put it on the sinus area of your feet. So I think really staying grounded during this time is my biggest recommendation. Staying grounded to your truth and focusing on the positive. You know, something amazing could happen from these traumatic changes in our country.
I agree. You never know.
You never know.
We have to open mind and be hopeful. Yes. I'm with you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this was so fun.
Oh, glad. Oh fun for me too.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to call Suzanne later in the week and we're going to chat and like that. Okay. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Amazing. And
you're welcome.
Thank you for educating us on all of it, on heart-centeredness, on all of it. There's a reason why the universe scheduled you for me today. There absolutely is.
Yes. Yes, I believe that too. And my giveaway that I emailed you is really easy. It's a 1-day little mindset reset. So if you're in a negative space, you know, we all have them. I still have them and have to reset myself quite often. My husband has looked at me numerous times and said, "We need to reset her." Yes. Right. But that's the start of the journey, is realizing you need a reset and being conscious of it, and then moving
Jackie
forward.
Just put that in the comments. Thanks, Jack.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here. When I hang up on this, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like lose you. So I'm just going to wait. I'm gonna take the event off air. I don't know if you, so if I lose you, thank you. I will be in touch. And if I don't lose
Okay.
you, stick with me.